Testing 1, 2, 3. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the live stream. If you can see and hear me, let me know where you're watching from. And just checking things out here, making sure we've got everything going and we're working and everything. It's 3 p.m. UK time. Time has got away from me a little bit today, but after 2000, cool. Yep, we've got some stuff to talk about today about trends. Gary says hello. Rob is here from Johannesburg, South Africa. Moneymakers Unlimited is here. Hello to you. Kathleen's here from sunny NYC, Central Florida. Moneymakers, nice, good to have you. So, is my sound and video in sync? I've been having this issue where my sound is a little bit out of sync with my video. But if that's okay for you, could you give me a thumbs up in the comments? That would be great. And then we will get started here in a couple of seconds. I just need to line a few things up. And while I'm doing that, if you're just joining us, just let me know where you're watching from. That would be awesome, so that we can all get to know one another here before we dive in. A little out of sync, says Moneymakers. Is anyone else having that problem? We've got some other people joining us. Sansoon from Egypt. Simon from sunny Glossop. Bo says it sounds good here. Kathleen says looks and sounds God. Not that good, I don't think. Jay, hello from South Korea. Wonderful to have you, Jay, from South Korea. Matt here from Nova Scotia. Hello to you, Matt. Hope you're doing good. Jaideep from India. Rob says read and see you loud and clear. Good, and I get him some thumbs up. From San Francisco, hello to you, Madeline. Very nice to have you. Dave says a little out of sync. Dan says howdy from Texas. MD from Bangladesh. Ilka from Germany. Sync is off. That is annoying, isn't it? I'll tell you what, let me just see if I can quickly solve it. I'll just disappear here for a second maybe and then reappear. Will I? Let me see if this is going to work. One, two, three. Can you let me know if this sync is any better? So I've just changed the camera. Let me know if this is any better for you. That would be really great. I'll give a few seconds to see if we get any better here. But yeah, let me know if this is in sync. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. I have to do these little dances to see if everything's in sync. Yeah, let me know if this has improved any. That would be great. Australia is in the house. New Jersey, Joyce from New Jersey, KE from Texas. Bayo Beautiful from California. Don't know if I've said hello to everyone already yet. Terry from Manitoba. Mark from Milton Keynes, sunny Colorado. We've got Saurav from India, Robin from Ohio, Bang from Indonesia, Robert from Dayton, Ohio, sunny South Africa, Cape Town. Lorraine, nice to have you. Matt says sync okay. Gary says it's worse. It's worse. It's worse. All right, we'll go back to how it was. That's actually better. Yeah, we'll go back to how it was. Okay, this is now back to the video we were previously. So hopefully that's a little bit better. I'm just going to try turning off a few things that might be running here in the background, actually, that might be slowing things down a bit. You never know what could be slowing you down, do you? So I'll just get rid of those. Let's get rid of that thing there. Let's close that thing out. And sorry, guys, bear with me a few seconds and I promise we'll get going here. All right. I think I've closed down everything I can possibly close down. Okay. So it was worse. I think we're better. Kathleen says it's good. Matt says it's better now. Okay. I think we'll have to, this is probably going to be as good as it gets. So apologies if I'm a little bit out of sync. Not sure what's going on there, but maybe it will improve as we go on. Aaron is here from balmy Minnesota. Aaron, I keep changing the way I pronounce your name. Sometimes I say Aaron, sometimes I say Aaron. So if you can type it out in the comments. How do you differentiate in the comments between Aaron and Aaron? I don't know. Okay, we're good. We're good. Lance says good. Bo says perfect. All right, great. Maybe I just needed to give it that kick in the head. All right. Wonderful. Thank you for joining me today. It's the 5th of May. It's a Thursday. We're going to talk about trends today. I have my slides here ready to go. Actually, one second. I just want to change something here. There we go. Now I can see people in the camera there. I can see you through my auto cue. Great. So trends. Let's talk a little bit about trends today. This is what we're going to do. Let me take you through my slides. So welcome. Thank you for joining me. If this is your first time on a live stream, then you're especially welcome. This is usually do a live stream on a Thursday. Sometimes I'll do some design reviews. Sometimes I'll do some Q&A. But today I'm going to teach a little bit. I've got some content that I want to talk about. And I think this is a good, interesting topic. And I think it's a good topic that we can help one another out with as we go through it. So you're very welcome. Thank you for joining. Obviously, you don't have to comment and stuff. It's fine to just watch, but it's nice to see where people are watching from and stuff like that as well. As usual, this is a open platform. If you have a question about what I'm talking about, that would be much appreciated, or I should say, you're very welcome to ask questions as I go through this content. This is brand new stuff that I haven't really taught on before. I have done a video on trends a few years ago, but it's a bit old now, and this is some new stuff. So we'll get into this here in a second. Hello to you, Other Advice. Hello, Swearworks from Budapest. Nice to have you here. So we're going to talk about trends. What are they? Where do you find them? How do you make use of them? What are we even talking about? So we'll talk about that today. I'll get into it here imminently. And then right towards the end, I'm going to tell you about something called my Total Trends Toolkit. So keep an eye out for more details on that. MD says, please cover all the parts of a trend, like how to find trends for POD. I got you, MD. That's what we're going to do. You're in the right place at the right time. Thank you for joining. So I don't think I have any other notices or things to let you know about. So shall we dive in here? What are trends? This is what we're going to talk about to begin with. Let's set the scene here. What are trends? Because this is a big topic, and trends is a term which can mean a lot of different things to different people. So let's talk about what I mean and what I'm talking about when I'm talking about trends. So I would describe a trend or define a trend as really anything that has a spike or an increase in demand. So the way I think about trends and what I mean when I say trends is that something is happening today that wasn't happening yesterday. And it might be happening more the day after that. Or maybe something is going to happen next month that's not happening this month. Now, we have a really good tool for kind of tracking what I think of as trends. And that's Google Trends, which we'll look a lot at here in a few seconds. But that's all I really mean is that people are looking for something today that they weren't looking for yesterday. That's basically it. That's it in a nutshell. So you can imagine we're going to have different types of trends. We're going to have different levels of trends. But that's what I mean. And why this is important is because trends are an opportunity for anyone to gain an advantage and to generate sales for free. Because trends are this mismatch of supply and demand. If you have something that hundreds of people are searching for today and no one was searching for yesterday, and it's a brand new term, maybe it's a brand new search term, a brand new collection of words, a brand new phrase, then you have an opportunity there because by definition almost we have a really big blue ocean, you might say. So you have a really big blue ocean, you have something that no one else has tapped into yet because it's brand new. So that's really what I'm talking about. I'll give some examples here in a second. But this is the point that's important is we're talking about an opportunity. So when it comes to my bread and butter, which is print-on-demand sites where I sell my artwork online. So websites like Redbubble, TeePublic, Society6, Merch by Amazon, Etsy, all these kind of different places you can sell art online. They are largely organic search-driven platforms. And what that means is that you have people searching on Google or searching on Amazon, looking for a certain product, finding that product and buying it. And if you are the first one, if you are someone who has a design for something that no one else has created a design for yet, if you're the first to market, then you have a huge advantage and you have the opportunity not just to make sales in the immediate on that initial search, but also to sit on top of that trend as it continues to grow. So we're not just talking about, a trend that might make you a couple of sales today or something. We're talking about also the opportunity for you to sit atop of a trend that could last days, weeks, months, even years, even longer than that, maybe. So we'll look at some of these examples and stuff. Pino Photo. Hello, mate from Chicago. Hello to you. And Glenda from sunny Florida. Wonderful to have you guys. Thank you for joining me today. So that's the topic of trends. That's what I mean when I'm talking about trends. So that is a pretty broad definition, and I think it's time we dived in a bit further here. So let me pull this up. So this is, apologies that this is kind of a bit messy, but this is some notes I've been making because I'm going to do a big 4-week class on teaching around trends, and I'm starting to put together my notes for that. So this is just a screenshot from that, but I'm going to use this as my basis just to talk through a few things. So I think there's going to be more types of trends than this, but I've broken them down into a couple of categories which I think are useful to begin our discussion around. So one type of trend is the recurring trend. Now, this would be a trend that recurs, as in it happens, for example, every year. So a good example of a trend that happens every year is holidays. So Christmas, Halloween, Mother's Day, whatever it might be. If we head over to Google Trends, we can do a search for something like Halloween, and you will see very clearly this is a recurring trend. Every October, or I should say maybe every August, the trend line starts to go up, peaks in October, at the end of October, and then it's back down again. But this happens every year like clockwork, every 12 months. Same with, of course, Christmas. Same with Mother's Day. Obviously, these happen at different times of the year, but they are recurring trends. So here in the middle of February, nothing's happening much. But then around May, you get Mother's Day. Around October, you get Halloween. And then Christmas, obviously much bigger. So this is a good example. What Google Trends is doing here, you can see I just did a search. You can specify the time frame you want to look at. So this is the past 5 years. We could even go back to 2004, and you can see the relative search volume for those different trends. So for some reason, somewhere around 2010, people didn't search so much for Christmas, and then it started climbing up again every year after that. So yeah, you can play around with Google Trends. You can look at the different opportunities you have here. This is a worldwide search, by the way. You can specify the particular country. And just to explain a few things here, Google Trends is showing you people searching for this word. So how many people search for Halloween? Now, of course, it's not actually telling you how many people. It's giving you a relative trend line. So these numbers don't mean that 100 people or 100,000 people search for this. This would be in the millions. But they're just giving you a very, so you can see, okay, there wasn't a lot of people searching for that then, but over here, it increases quite a lot. So that's how to understand Google Trends. It's probably the best, the most accurate tool that we have for judging trends, because it's simply showing you what people are searching for. That's all it's doing. It's not telling you anything about sales data or anything like that. It's literally saying this is what people are searching for on Google, and it's giving you that data. So yeah, this is, and obviously you can do this thing where you compare different trends. So you can compare relative scores. So obviously we don't have hard numbers for this, but we can see that Christmas outpaces Mother's Day, by a factor of, I don't know what that is, 10 or more. So this is a much more popular, you know, trend, if you like. So recurring trends, these are easy to predict, of course, because they come back round every year. It doesn't have to be an annual recurring trend, of course, because there will be things that recur at different times of the year or something, like term times or I don't know, almost anything like that. Um, but but yeah, they're going to recur, and that's good. The problem with these things is with recurring trends like this is obviously, um, guess what? Everyone knows about Christmas. Everyone knows about Mother's Day. Everyone knows about Father's Day. Everyone knows about Halloween. This does not really fit our definition of something where there's an opportunity, because we know Christmas is going to happen, but so does everyone else. So we don't really have any kind of advantage here. If we're just saying, I want to create Christmas designs or Christmas ideas to take advantage of Christmas, well, you're playing in a very competitive, hugely competitive market. So, yes, it's a trend, but it's not great for, it doesn't present a huge opportunity. Now, there is an opportunity if you spend a bit more time thinking about it with some of these. There are kind of internal or current trends within those trends. So a good example of this is like Halloween. Halloween comes every year, of course, but every year people want to dress up as something that's kind of current or trending. So Halloween matched with a certain topic that's hot at the time. So for example, if there's an election, if it's an election year, then people will want to dress up as the presidential candidates or the candidates in an election. So that's a way that you can make use of recurring trends by matching that recurring trend with something that is actually current and happening now. So that's interesting and useful for print on demand stuff. But your more general recurring trends, like your Halloweens and your Christmas and stuff, they're good to understand and know about. And I'm not saying they're not useful, but they are much more useful if you're doing things like long-term art licensing. So if you want to license your art for products or greetings cards or things like that, those are trends that the industry, like the greetings card industry, bases its stuff on those trends. So they will be creating designs and deciding on designs for Christmas 2023, sometime this year, and they kind of bake those in. So that's a very kind of long-term view. So recurring trends like that, like holidays and stuff, and good to have a grip on those if you're doing art licensing and you're trying to do that. Less interesting if you're trying to do print on demand and make kind of quick income from that kind of stuff. Okay, I can see a couple of questions coming in here. Carol says the screen is quite blurred. Is that the case for anyone else? Have we got internet issues here? Rob says, what do the numbers mean on the right of the graph? Sorry, left of the graph. So yeah, let's have a look over here. So the numbers represent search interest relative to the highest point on the chart for the given region and time. A value of 100 is the peak popularity for the term. A value of 50 means the term is half as popular. A score of 0 means there was not enough data. So it's a relative index, if you like, of that term. So relatively, in May, Halloween is not very popular, but in October, it is very popular. So that's the thing to bear in mind in this. It's not giving you actual data. But having said that, there is a tool that will estimate those numbers for you. It's a free plugin. It's called Glimpse, and it's available if you just do a search for like Glimpse Google Trends, you'll be able to find it. Free Chrome plugin, and what this does, it's this little thing here. If I turn it on, it actually puts a graph, kind of a trend line graph, and it should any second now give me some estimates. Okay, there we go. So you can see it's saying 2.9 million searches in the past month. So it actually gives you numbers here. So according to Glimpse, I don't know how accurate this would be, but they think that in peak October season, Halloween gets 170 million searches. So yeah, That's that's what Glimpse does. Useful to try out. I think if you go to michaelessick.com/glimpse, I might even get a few free credits there. Um, okay, so let's crack on here. I can see a bit of discussion about blurriness in the video, but some people seem to be all clear and very happy. So I will crack on regardless. Okay. Um, that was recurring trends. So recurring trends would be a seasonal stuff. One and done. So one hit wonders. These are the highly unpredictable trends. These are really great for print on demand. Great if you're selling directly through Shopify or something like that. Great for Etsy, any organic platform like that. But very difficult to predict. So unlike recurring trends, which we know are going to happen, one and done, one hit wonder stuff is highly unpredictable. That means we simply don't know. You know, that it's kind of like the unknown unknowns. I'm trying to think of an example off the top of my head, but I'm struggling. But something like I'm trying to think of a kind of a short-term trend that was maybe spiked and gone. But you know, like viral stories, like so the Will Smith slap at the Oscars. That's kind of like, you know, people are going to be searching for that for a few days, and then it's going to dip away and go off. The I have an example that I'm going to talk about in a second here. Will Smith slap. Thank you, Aaron. Yeah, we're thinking about the same things. Tractorgate. I don't know what Tractorgate is, but yeah, things like that. You know, things that would be viral news stories. The example I'm going to talk about here in a second, a trend that I did very well on and made a few $100s from a few months ago, was a viral news story. So it was a news story that was interesting and popular for a few days, and then it died out, and the search results went with it, or the searches went with it. So it was a one-hit wonder, and you couldn't really predict that. You know, I don't think. You know, you can't really predict what's going to be a viral story. Maybe if you're a journalist or you work in PR, then you know that there are tricks and stuff. But you know, news stories that come, those are going to be one and done, one hit wonders. Very hard to predict. Fernando says, "Let's go, Brandon." Yeah, I wouldn't call that a one and done, because I think "Let's Go, Brandon" was kind of a longer term thing. I don't know whether that's still such a strong thing, but yeah, certainly in terms of where it came from, no one could really have predicted that. That came from an organic source, wasn't it? Like a video of like a NASCAR race or something. I can't really remember the details. But yeah, it sprung out from that, and you know, a few weeks later, there's going to be hundreds of millions of searches for "Let's Go, Brandon." Let's try that one. Actually, that might be an interesting one to look at. So yeah, this is a good example of a came out of nowhere trend. You know, May, June, July, no one's searching for this. Boom! All of a sudden, everyone's searching for "Let's Go, Brandon" in October and November, and then it's died off a bit now. So yeah, that is a pretty good example, Fernando. I was just thinking that "Let's Go, Brandon." Well, it did span a number of months there, so that's a pretty good example. Yeah. Kathleen says, "I printed a bumper sticker in 2019 and offer it on my Etsy store, sold one or two. Then a big trend just hit and it was already placed for it. Selling now, finally making investment back." Yeah, that is something that's happened to me a lot as well. And we'll talk about this in a second. I've got some examples, but there are certainly cases where, you know, you create something years ago and then years later that happens to, you know, be in the right place at the right time and take off on a trend. And that's happened to me a lot. You know, some of my bestsellers currently are designs from 5 years ago or something. So it's very hard to predict what will happen, and there's different kinds of trends that can, you know, happen, die out for years, and then come back later. So yeah, some good examples there. So yeah, one and done, one hit wonders like that. You know, a lot of the time, what I mean here is there's going to be a spike, it's going to drop, and then it's gone. So those are very difficult to predict, and you really need to be in the right spot. But they're great for print on demand type of stuff. Long term trends. So things that are slow burners, Easier to spot because they don't really necessarily have a massive spike, but they grow gradually over time. So this is good for print on demand. This is good for art licensing, but you usually have to kind of stick around at it for a while. So when I'm talking about a long-term trend, I might, we might be talking about something like, I don't know, veganism or something that's probably been um, hmm, okay, not grown much in the past 5 years. But yeah, if you look at here for the 2004 to present, um, veganism has gone from 1 million searches a month to 9 million searches in 2020. Looks like may have even peaked, but that's a good example of a long-term trend, something that is, we're talking years here, and obviously that would require you to kind of stick at the trend probably for quite a long time. It's unlikely that a design you created in 2005 would still be popular in 2020, but stranger things have happened. Fernando says crypto and Bitcoin. Yes, that's a good one that we'll look at here in a second. So long term, we might be thinking in terms of years, like here, veganism, probably similar with Bitcoin, which we can see here as again a long term, but it had a massive spike in 2018 and has not actually matched that since. So those are both kind of longer term stuff, but of course there might be smaller ones, like if we look, for example, at like NFTs, an example of a trend which is barely comparable to veganism and Bitcoin, but has taken off in the past 12 months, although you wouldn't know it by looking at this graph. There we go. There's NFTs for the past 12 months or the past 5 years. So a little bit of a bump and then it jumps up. So medium term kind of trends like NFTs, that's spanned a couple of years. Veganism has spanned decades. And then there's other trends that will be gone in days and weeks and months. One other thing I thought of is event-based things. So here, if you think about something like the like an eclipse, forgot the word there. So I don't know how often we get. Oops. So there was a big eclipse in 2017, which I remember in the States anyway. So you can see here, this is something that an example of a recurring trend, but doesn't recur with regularity. Doesn't recur like Christmas or something like that. Olympics is a good suggestion. Thank you, Moneymakers. That should occur every 4 years, but obviously we've had a big gap here. So things like that do happen. Those are kind of event-based trends. I'm also thinking here about there's anniversaries of things. For example, this year in the UK, we have the Jubilee of the Queen, the Queen's Jubilee. So that's a big thing that everyone knows that if the Queen's still alive in 2022, then that's going to be her Jubilee year of reigning for however long it is. I don't even know. Is it? I'm embarrassing myself now as a good Englishman. The Queen's Platinum Jubilee, 70 years of service. So, if you knew that, you would have been able to see that coming for a long time. Similarly, there are anniversaries of people's deaths or people's birthdays, famous people from years ago. Sometimes, like, I think there was Martin Luther's, I don't know whether it was birthday or his death or whatever, but that was in 2017, and that was like 500 years since. So again, there's things like that, event-based stuff that you would be able to know about. It would be predictable. You just would have to know about that topic. Okay. Question from Lance. Is there a way to ask Google Trends which trends have increased by XX% over the past XX weeks, months, years? It's a great question, Lance. No, there isn't. So that of course would be the ideal situation, wouldn't it? To get an alert that says, hey, this search has gone up by this much percent and it's happening right now, and so on. Google Trends doesn't do that, but there are companies like Glimpse and others, I'll talk about them here in a second, which do attempt to bring you trends as they're happening, ahead of the pack and stuff like that. Some of them are paid services, some of them not. Um, I'm not sure that they're really that useful, especially in a kind of print on demand situation. Um, and yeah, one thought on that is so, like, obviously, people are searching for something, there'll be a trend today that wasn't present yesterday. Now, Google would have the ability to spot that and kind of bring that to the surface. Um, but you would have to know what term to search for in the first place, if you know what I mean. Like, for us as mere mortals, if we can't get hold of a list, we would need to know what kind of terms to search for in the first place. So yeah, I'm not sure that some of these services that actually purport to bring you trends that are happening, whether they're that useful, because of course, once someone emails that out to thousands of people, how your advantage almost dissipates immediately, right? The competition has already been alerted to it. So yeah, I think it's best to have some kind of knowledge, some kind of insight into a trend before it happens through various means. I'll talk a little bit about that. Yeah. Aaron says 70 years of queening it up. There you go. Nice free idea for us English folk. Dan, mostly good. Good to hear it, Dan. Matt, July 4th, 2026 will be the 250th year anniversary of the US Declaration of Independence. Yeah. Um, you're certainly early for that trend, but I'm sure that will be a big deal in 2026. So yeah. Okay, let's crack on here. So I did actually pull up a few ones. NFTs was one of the trends I wanted to look at. Just to draw your attention to a few things here. Don't know how many of you will be familiar with the what's the band called that did the song from Shrek? Um, it's funny how much, yeah, Smash Mouth. So Smash Mouth did another song. I know they've done lots of songs, but "Walking on the Sun" was a song by Smash Mouth, and in the lyrics they say, "This is a love attack." No, this is getting a bit weird. "This is a love attack. I know it went out, but it's back. And just like any fad, it retracts before impact." That has stuck with me for many years, back when I was, I don't know, 20 years old listening to Smash Mouth. But this is a good example here of a trend retracting before impact. So here we have NFTs. This fad started, I don't know when that date is, but sometime in early 2021. And you might have thought, if you were here, you might have thought, oh, it's peaked, it's gone. But it's actually retracting and then it went boom. So this is something to look out for with certain trends, especially if you were kind of here. You might be thinking, looking at that trend, it's gone up, it's peaked, it's flattened, but then it's starting to budge a little bit. So if you have something like that that you know something about, that might be something to look out for. The retraction before the impact, the fad that retracts before impact. Dogecoin did a similar thing. Dogecoin had its little peak here. Actually, if we went far enough back, I think you see Dogecoin was popular in 2017 and 2016 and stuff. Not as popular as it was here, but that had a little peak here, and then it retracted, and then boom, it spiked again. So fads that retract before impact are interesting. Now, here's an interesting example. This is just something that I thought was kind of funny. This kind of meme about biblically accurate angels. If you don't know what that refers to, then go and have a Google and search about it. But here's another example. This thing kind of had a bit of a spike in late 2020, early 2021. It's retracted and it's just kind of started climbing back up again. So that's an interesting one. Perhaps one to look into. Cottagecore. Here's another one that peaked maybe in 2020, sometime there. It's plateaued a bit. And then this thing here, I don't know how well you can see this, but Google Trends has this cool feature where they will actually predict. They will show you this little dotted line, which is a kind of prediction line of what they think it's going to do in that particular little bracket of time. So for cottagecore, Google is predicting this spike. Now, this is something to really look out for. This is a really good indicator whenever you're doing research on a trend. If you get a little prediction spike like that, guess what that means? That means people are searching for it. There's going to be a big spike, or at least Google thinks so, and Google is pretty good at knowing these kind of things. So that can be a really good indicator of something that you might want to look out for. So this is current. This is a current search for cottagecore. If you're into your cottages or your cottagecore, then that might be something to look out for. Wicked Life says it's self-fulfilling. Yeah, if you're searching for a trend, it certainly would be self-fulfilling. Cyber, like what happened today with Dave Chappelle. Yeah. There's a lot we could talk about here, but like the Dave Chappelle thing, yes, of course, that's a trend. People are going to be searching for Dave Chappelle for a few days, then it will die off again. However, things like that, celebrities, certain kinds of news stories are just not useful for us. Dave Chappelle getting tackled on stage, unlikely to lead to searches, commercial searches, where someone's going to want to buy a product or a T-shirt. Something like cottagecore, however, or biblically accurate angels might have a bit more. Well, cottagecore would have a more of a commercial element to it, i.e., people are searching for that, and people will want to buy things related to that, somehow related to it. So Wicked Life says they send a trend, then the number of searches increase based on their info. Oh, right, I see what you mean. So yeah, Wicked Life is saying that these companies, Glimpse and Exploding Topics and places like that, they will actually say, here's a trend, and then people go and search for that trend, so it becomes a self-fulfilling thing. Very, very good point. Yeah, definitely. Okay, couple more points before I dive into something in a bit more detail here. So the sweet spot with trends and what we're really looking for is this match of low supply. So there isn't a lot of designs out there related to it, but incoming high demand. So we want there to be high demand and not much in terms of supply. That's what we're looking for. It's not that different to really what you might look for in any business, but we want there to be people searching for. We want people to be searching for cottagecore, and we want there to be 2 or 3 cottagecore designs that are out there. So we want there to be low supply of designs, but high demand, because that is where we can come in and have that advantage, where we can come in for free, we can come in with our designs, and we can dominate and in some cases flood a search term with relevant designs and dominate that trend. So some of those will be short-term trends that maybe last a day or a week or a few months. Some might be long-term trends, in which case you might be able to sit atop of a trend for years, or to dominate for a bit, and then the trend dies out a bit, but then it comes back later. So anything with kind of long-term leg potential, that's something to really be on the lookout for. That would be the real sweet spot. So high demand, i.e., you can see something on Google Trends, hopefully something that looks a little bit like this, i.e., Google thinks it's about to spike. And when you go to Redbubble or Amazon, there's basically no one who's really on top of it yet. So can you predict the future? This is really the question. You may have heard the line, like, history doesn't repeat itself, but it does rhyme. And I think that's certainly true, and something that we want to dive into when we're thinking about trends. Trends may not recur. Well, some trends do, but there certainly are patterns of certain types of trends. I can't dive into all of it here, but those things do repeat, and things that work for those markets tend to work again and again and again. And also everything, every day there's something new for the first time. As an example of this, there's a Twitter account called NYT First Said, which pulls out words that have appeared for the first time in the New York Times. So tweets words when they appear in the New York Times for the first time. So obviously, it's able to look through the New York Times corpus of data and say that. So today, 19 hours ago, Super Cosmic appeared in the New York Times. And people even give you the context, which is cool here. So Super Cosmic appeared for the first time in the New York Times, never printed before in the New York Times. Not sure whether this would be the best place to look for trends, but it's certainly worth a follow and something to look for, and just have a poke about, and that could be an interesting opportunity. I don't know if anyone's yet combined New York Times first said with Google Trends, but that would be an interesting little product if we've got any coders listening. That might be fun to explore. So my point here is everything is new for the first time. There are new terms, new words, new phrases that will appear that have not appeared before, and that's where our opportunity lies. The opportunity is that you have the advantage if you spot something first to be ahead of the competition and to dominate that and then sit atop of that wave as it continues to go up. So we've got about 20 minutes here, so I'm going to go really fast. How do you spot these trends? So keep your eyes open and your ears to the ground. I have a trend I'm going to talk about here in a few seconds. I just noticed it on Twitter. Twitter has what's happening, this thing here down the side. So, right now it's telling me about news stories, which I don't really care about, and a couple of hashtags. And apparently MAGA is trending right now, and whatever this is and whatever this is. So the trend that I spotted was literally, I just happened to glance over here in the sidebar. I saw a phrase that I didn't recognize. I clicked it, I looked at the story, and I decided or thought that was a trend that was worth creating a design for. So maybe you're not on Twitter, maybe you're not on social media, but you must have places and things that interest you. And I'm sure that with a bit of thought and effort, you could keep your eyes open and ears to the ground and notice certain trends. And I do think it's best to think about them in terms of this is something I'm interested in, and what are the trends in that space. So, of course, if you're interested in cryptocurrency, then you would notice Bitcoin and NFTs and things like that happening because you had a genuine interest in them. Those are genuine trends that happen related to, certain things of interest. Maybe you're interested in certain history or certain religion or certain sport or something, and there will be trends within that that grow out of that. And that's, I think, the best place to be, keeping your eyes open, whether that's on forums, on social media, on Reddit, or wherever you are, and just kind of trying to notice when something is repeating. If you can notice when, you're noticing the same kind of jokes perhaps being made time and time again, that's when you want your spidey senses to start tingling so that you can start making a note of that, doing some research, going down some rabbit trails, and finding out what you can. Okay, I've put some links here, which you can have a look at. Exploding Topics is one of those trend discovery type of things. So there's a free newsletter here, which you can sign up for free. And I think they send an email every week, and it literally just pulls out a few trending things and tells you about them and gives you some context. So this is interesting. This is obviously going to cover the whole gamut of different things. They do break it down into different categories here. So you can break it down into like crypto or design. So apparently in design, we've got Flutter, which is a Google created UI toolkit, nicotine pouches, cow print. So there's something might be, apparently there's a trend for cow print design. That could be interesting. Witch core. So there you go. Didn't know that was a thing. So this can be useful, certainly worth, perusing at your leisure and seeing what's going on. They also have a paid product, which is $47 a month and sends you basically stuff before they publish it publicly or give it away in their main newsletter. So that might be something you want to look into. Glimpse, I've already mentioned, that's the plugin that does this, and I think they also have a paid product as well. Trends Everywhere is a fun Chrome extension. So the Chrome extension allows you to see when you're doing a Google search. So if you just search something on Google, it will pull in. I've used all my stuff up, but basically it will just display a little picture of the Google Trends thing so you can follow along with that. Undertheradar.io. Undertheradar.io. This is a similar thing to Exploding Topics, but it's just going to pull, some very different kinds of trends, and I think they're just using different ways of identifying trends in the first place. So that's another one to maybe have a bit of research on. And Reddit Metrics is a good thing, handy place to look, or frontpagemetrics.com. Frontpagemetrics.com. This will show you things that are happening. Certain, whoops, sorry, I've got a block on for Reddit because I try to not look at it. But anyway, that's one that will show you things like subreddits that are gaining in popularity, and that can be a good place to look for certain trends. So hope that helps you with a couple of resources. Aaron says great resources. Yes, they are pretty useful. We got about 10-15 minutes. So let me tell you about this trend that I was dealing with recently a few months ago. So I'm not going to tell you what the search term is. I'll tell you why in a second. But this is a screen grab I took at the time. So you can see it was around February 2022. And this is what I saw when I searched this term. So again, talking here about a trend that I spotted on Twitter. I thought it was an interesting one. I popped it into Google Trends. And when I did, this is what I saw. So Baron, boom. Now this is what you're looking for. This is green light go, especially if you've got other good reasons to think this might be a good trend, which I did. This is about as green a light as you could possibly get. We're talking about a big spike in interest, which is happening right now, so current at the time that Google hasn't even, logged it all yet, but it thinks it's going to blow up like this. So that's what you're looking for. If you can find yourself a trend that looks like that when you search for it, then all systems go. Just before I continue, Matt says, which core is going up, but witchcraft and static are going down. So maybe this is more helpful with how to tag your designs. That is a big part of Google Trends. That's what I use Google Trends for a lot, is how am I going to word this particular trend, especially if it's a brand new thing. What terms am I going to use? And you can use Google Trends to help you figure that out by using different words. So yeah. Aaron, without naming the search term, what prompted you to check it on Google Trends? So it was a viral story. So it was a search term that I didn't recognize, or a term that I didn't recognize. So I just clicked it out of interest, read the story, and thought that's got legs as a potential commercial trend. So that's really all there was to it. Aaron, you will find out from next week lots more about this particular trend, because we're going to talk about it not publicly. We're going to talk about it in the Ideas Workshop. But yes, without giving it away, it was something that I thought had legs, and so I went to Google Trends, and this is what I saw. Then I went over to Amazon and did a search for the term there. So I did a search on the 22nd of February 2022. This is a screenshot from Amazon on that day. The search term is here. I've blocked it out. I did a search in brackets, so I'm getting, I'm looking for just that term. I'm not looking for. It was a 3-word term. I'm looking for that term as written, and you can see here there were 76 results, which is actually quite a bit inflated. Most of those were not relevant to the thing at all. Maybe 10 or 20 at most were. But yeah, that's where it was on the 22nd of the second. So I'm showing you this because here's what it looked like on Google Trends, and here's what it looked like on Amazon. So that's a good green light. If you can get results like that, um, this is green means go. Similar on Redbubble, when I did a search for the term, again, I've just covered it up here, but there were 20 results on the 22nd of February for this particular term. On the 2nd of March, so what's that, 10 days later or something? So the 2nd of March 2022, the same search was showing 804 results on Amazon. So it had jumped from 76 to 804 within a matter of days. Similarly, on Redbubble, it had gone from 20 results on the 22nd of February to 347 results on the 2nd of March. So you can see here we're dealing with a trend that a lot of people jumped on, probably in retrospect unsuccessfully. And this was just a test I did today, so it's now at 828. So it's not actually gone up that much since March. The trend has now died down. Redbubble still piling on the results for this particular search, 1,223. But to lay this out and actually give you a kind of bird's eye view of it, this is the trend from today. So this is what Google Trends looks like for this same search term, but this is a screenshot from February this year, and this is a screenshot today. So you can see that initial spike. That's what happened here in February. And then you can see it kind of basically peaked around there and dropped down. So it was a very short-term trend, not a long-term trend at all. And this is just my overlay of the search results for products on the various marketplaces. So on Amazon, there were 76 results here, and then it went boom, 804 results here. It's continued to add a few more, but you can see the trend is over. So if this trend were to continue going up, you would expect that to continue rising, but guess what? It hasn't. So there's no, people have figured out by now that this isn't worth creating designs for anymore. So as you can tell, I spotted this trend here. I created a design here on this day, and I basically won the trend. I sat atop of the results for this matter of weeks. It's still there in the top position, and yeah, it wasn't, like I say, this was not a long-term trend, so this was worth a few $100s or something in royalties, but it was a good case study in that topic. So all that to say, that's a good example. That's some that's what you want to look for. You want to look for something like that, and you want results like this when you search for that term on Amazon or Redbubble. So this particular design, this particular topic, this particular trend, I am preparing to teach in detail. I'm going to show you the whole process because I've got the receipts. I've got the receipts for everything here. I've got the receipts from my initial spotting of the trend all the way through to creating the design, all the way through to the first sale and everything. This design sold on Amazon within 24 hours. It sold on Redbubble and TeePublic a few days later. So it sold across the board, really. And yeah, it's not a big long-term trend. It's not something that's worth thousands of dollars, but I think it's a really great case study in how to nail something like this. And maybe this trend comes back around in a certain amount of time. I'm not necessarily convinced that's the case, but I still think there's a lot of stuff that we can learn from this. Lance says, how many designs did you create for that trend? And did you create them all at the same time? Great question, Lance. So I created 3 designs that I actually created. I had a list of about 20 ideas, but I actually only created 3 designs because I'm very lazy. And I did create them all around the same time, like within the same evening. After that, I got bored and didn't create any more. But yeah, I just did 3 designs. So by no means did I flood this search trend at all. But because my concept was so strong, was so good, it sat at the top of those search results. It basically, even though I wasn't the first one, as you can tell, there were some results. This was what it looked like before I created my design. There were 20 results here on Redbubble. There were 76 on Amazon before I'd even uploaded mine. So I wasn't the first one, but I was the one that won the battle, if you like, for top spot because my concept was stronger than the rest. And that's what we'll dive into in this trends course. Gemma, do you sell in the UK and USA? I do, but this was a USA focused trend. Didn't really cross over to the UK. Bo says, looking forward to the Trends Toolbox class. Great info just for this short live. Yes, this is actually a taster, if you like. So I am going to reveal this trend, my design for this trend, starting next week inside a special 4-week live class called the Total Trends Toolkit. So this will be starting next Tuesday, the 10th of May. I'm going to be teaching basically like you see me teaching here, but we're going to actually go right back to the beginning of this trend. I'm going to walk you through my whole process. We're going to talk about the trend, why I thought it was a good trend to get into, how I produced the idea, how I came up with the concept, how I turned that into a design. So my whole Procreate process, I've got the screen recordings for all of that. The upload process. So how do I decide what terms to use, what kind of search terms to use for this trend? All the way through to the first sales and even dealing with copycats and things like that. So this is going to be a 4-week live class that I'm teaching, the Total Trends Toolkit. It will be like I said, a real world case study, full and thorough walkthrough of my entire process, revealing everything along the way. And I am going to package the recordings of this live class up and sell them for $199 sometime in June. So if you're interested, you might want to, well, I'm just kind of whetting your appetite for that because it will be available sometime in June. But if you'd actually like to join me while I teach the live, then you can do so. All you have to do is be inside my Ideas Workshop class. So anyone who's inside the Ideas Workshop will be getting access to this, will be able to join these lives from next week. So this is the design that I actually created. This is the design we're going to be walking through. Obviously, I've blurred it out because I don't want to give the game away. But we will be covering how to spot trends, trend analysis. So how do we actually analyze that trend? Why was this a trend that I thought was worth creating a design for? Why was it worth spending time on? What kind of ideas to look for? Because that is why my design outpaced the others. I had a better idea, a better concept than the other designers did. Hundreds of designers entered this trend. I was not the only one to spot it, but I was one of the few that actually created something that sold, and I created the one that won, if you like. We're also going to look at some grey hat tactics. So these are things which are, a little bit on the edge of, I don't know, maybe they're a little bit not suspicious, but what's the word? So grey hat basically comes from SEO. It comes from black hat would be a tactic which is frowned upon by Google or Amazon or someone like that. White hat would be you're doing everything perfectly, just like Amazon and Google want you to. Grey hat means you're just kind of pushing at the boundaries a little bit. So we'll talk a bit about some of those tactics. I didn't really employ any of those for this trend, but we will dive into that. We're going to look at my specific design, which is here. Well, there were 3 designs, so we'll look at all 3 of them. Uploading tips and tricks, some important things there. Where I went wrong with this particular trend and what I could have done better. And we'll talk about using my web app to actually conquer trends and make the most of them. So if you're interested in that, that's the Total Trends Toolkit. I'll start teaching it next week, on Tuesday next week. And if you want to be part of it, if you want to be part of the live class that actually is able to watch live as I teach this first time around, then you can join the Ideas Workshop, which is still discounted until Saturday to $499. So the price is going up from Saturday for my Ideas Workshop. It's going up to $549. But if you get in before Saturday, you can still grab it and lock in your annual price of $499. That's the only way to get this class right now. I will be packaging it up and selling it later in a few months' time. I'll edit the videos and stuff and put together something there. So you might want to look out for that in June. But if you can't wait and you'd really like to be part of this as it happens and find out, all the tips and tricks and all the details, then michaelessick.com/ideas is where you can sign up and join the Ideas Workshop. Of course, the Ideas Workshop is a full comprehensive course. I can't go into all the details about it now, but you can read all about it on this page, michaelessick.com/ideas. Brand new video here, by the way, which is not loading for some reason. So if you want to check it out, please do so, michaelessick.com/ideas. Okay, I can see some questions, so let's take some of these. Money Makers Unlimited. Do you put your designs on more than one type of product? That's a great question. For this particular trend, I kept it to the big ones. So t-shirts, hoodie. Did I do hoodies? I don't think I did. Maybe. So t-shirts, sweatshirts, all the kind of main things on Amazon. Of course, Redbubble's a bit easier to upload on everything there. So it was mainly the main products. I didn't do like phone cases on Amazon or anything that required effort. Your totes and your cushions, I didn't do any of that stuff. I just kept it on the main ones. Susan, in a typical day, week, month, how often do you sit down and track trends specifically? Is it something that you build into every day or once a week, or do you search trends as needed? So I don't actually actively go looking for trends, Susan. I am on Twitter and Instagram far more than I should be. And I simply, if I see something that is bubbling away there that I think is a potential trend, that's how I basically spot a lot of the successful trends that I've jumped on. So that's not to say that you can't actively go and find trends. I believe you can. You can use some of the tools we've talked about here. But I find the most success when I am not necessarily looking for trends, but I simply have my eyes and ears open so that if one walks past me, I will notice it, if that makes sense. So I try to train myself to do that, and I'll talk, about those tactics and how I do that inside this class that I'll be teaching. Rick says, awesome, can't wait. Cool, Rick. Joe says, was it Read Across America? No, it was not. I don't know what that is, but no, it was not that. Robin, Michael, how do I access the slogan slot machine? Robin, I believe, have you emailed me? I think I will get back to you very soon. Sorry, Robin, I haven't. I think you emailed me yesterday and I haven't responded yet. I will get back to you, Robin, on that one. Don't worry. Jay, a very anticipated live. Yes, I'm excited to teach this starting next week. So yeah, I'm glad you'll be joining us in there, Jay. Lance, looking for love only hits when you're not looking. Yeah, even this trend in particular, this one we're going to be looking at, it was the end of the day when I spotted it. I was literally just about to leave the office. I opened up Twitter, or I was looking at Twitter, just saw this thing, looked at it, clicked on it, and had that horrible feeling in my stomach where I knew that I should do something about this because this was a really good trend, or this was going to be a really good example that I could teach from. But I was just about to go home. So I spent that evening putting together the couple of designs that I did, had them out within a few hours, and they sold within 24 hours. So yeah, trends don't always appear when you want them to, when you're ready and, in a perfect position, especially with, different types of trends and the different things that they hit. So do they have commercial? Is there a commercial aspect to that? That's really one of the key things, and this one did. So that's why I hopped on it. But yeah, those are not going to come along every day. This is not like you can fire up, sitting down on a Monday, let me fire up and look for some trends. Sitting down on Tuesday, oh, look, I've spotted another trend. Sitting down on Wednesday, oh, here's another trend. That's not how this works. It's much more about keeping your eyes open for when they do come. And yeah, that's not going to be necessarily when you want them to. Philippa, what proportion of your work is trend versus evergreen? So that's a difficult one to answer because it's kind of how do you define the two different things? I would say that certainly in the early days when I was starting off, back in 2016, 2017, I was much more leaning towards trend stuff. I was much more kind of active in that space. So these days, a lot of my designs that sell are much more kind of evergreen. I mean, sometimes what you think of as a trend a few years ago becomes an evergreen thing, if that makes sense. So, you know, it did start off with a big spike and then maybe it plateaus, but then it actually kind of keeps chugging along for years and years. You know, it doesn't have that massive initial spike, but it can still, you know, keep generating sales. So it is a difficult question to answer. Whoops, nearly knocked my light over there. It's a difficult question to answer, but I would say that I was previously been much more trend heavy. These days, it's not so much something that I actively try to do, but excuse me, I do keep an eye out, or I keep my ear to the ground for stuff that is relevant to me. And I think anyone can do that. You know, it doesn't have to be mainstream trends or something that's necessarily going to show up on Twitter. It can be a trend that, you notice within your particular community. Maybe it's a slang term, maybe it's a joke, maybe it's a person or something like that. There's lots of different things that can be trends. Simon, what time are you planning the live stream on Tuesday? It's going to be 4 p.m. UK time, which is the regular time we do live streams inside the Ideas Workshop. So here in the Ideas Workshop, you can see we do regular live streams anyway. So what we're going to do is for the next 4 weeks, starting next week, we're going to do the Total Trends training for a 4-week stint, Total Trends Toolkit. So starting next week, and then every following Tuesday at 4 p.m. UK time, I will be teaching using the example that I've talked about here as my case study. And then we will be diving into a lot of stuff. I've put together some really useful resources, some checklists, all kinds of things that will help you as you try to conquer trends for yourself going forwards. Because, of course, me sharing this trend is not giving away anything of value as such, because guess what? The trend has been and gone. We look at the graph there. This particular trend that I'm going to share from spiked in February or March and then went back down. So, I'm not sharing this to say, hey, here's a trend you should jump on. I'm sharing it as an example so that you can learn how to learn and do the same thing for the next trend that comes along that you spot that's relevant to you and your audience. Where will the course cover how to decide whether a trend might have commercial value? Yes, that's one of the things I'm going to be talking about, is like a checklist of different aspects. How do you determine whether this is a trend to pursue? How do we determine whether it might have commercial value? I gave a brief example earlier, but Will Smith getting slapped, difficult to see where the commercial value in that is. But then other trends like cottagecore, that's very much kind of an aesthetic that people might be searching for. So yeah, we will definitely cover that kind of stuff inside the course. Aaron, while catching trends is tough and they're short-lived, new to POD designers could get quick success than waiting on Redbubble SEO and help ramp us up. Thoughts? My thoughts are 100% agree. Trends are, the great thing about them, the kind of trends I'm talking about, is that they are wide open. You don't need a big following. You don't need, you don't need a massive Instagram following or anything like that. You don't need to be able to do paid ads. You don't need any of that stuff. All you need is a really good idea, and you need to be in the right place at the right time. If you get those two things together, then, it's wide open, which is why I really like it. It's why I recommend it as an approach for people to take and for people to learn more about, because like the particular design I created, this design here, you can't obviously see it, but it's incredibly simple. It's a very, very simple design. Now, some of the designs it was up against were very simple, but mine was a better concept. It's a much stronger concept than everything else that was out there, and that's why it won. The concept, I can't get into it. We've gone too long already, but there's a lot to talk about. But yes, in answer to your question, yes. If you're getting started with POD, I think trends are definitely something you should spend some time thinking about. And it's a great kind of crash course in how to tackle almost any subject, because trends are a topic like any other. If you learn how to do well on trends, you'll be learning about how to do good tags and keywords and SEO and all those kind of things, how to tackle any subject. It's really kind of a lot of universal learnings that can apply across the board. So yeah, hope that makes sense. So to reiterate, because we've gone over by 10 minutes here already, Total Trends Toolkit, a brand new 4-week live class teaching on trends, which I've never taught on before, with a live case study, an actual case study that we'll be looking into. If you're interested in that, if it sounds like something you want to join in, then it will be available in June for $200. But if you can't wait and you'd like to join us live next week, starting next week, then the Ideas Workshop is the only way to get access. It's $499 right now, but it's going up to $549 from Saturday, and the price won't be coming back down. So if you want to get this best ever price, best possible price, then now's the time to do it. And you can find all the details at michaelessick.com/ideas. Okay, I think we will have to wrap it up there, my guys. Thank you for joining me today. I hope you got something out of it. I hope you're able to tackle trends in a new way and maybe giving you a bit of inspiration or poked some things or giving you some resources so you can do some more research on your own time. And yeah, if you're interested in joining us inside the Total Trends Toolkit starting next Tuesday, all the T's, then michaelessick.com/ideas. And if you have any questions about this that I haven't been able to cover here, just email me, michael@michaelessick.com, and I will get back to you as soon as I can. Okay. All the details are there on the screen. Thank you for joining me today, guys. Thank you all for your kind comments. Thank you, Susan. Thank you, M. Belston. Thank you, Liz. Thank you, Bo. Thank you, Rick. Thank you, Liz. Thank you, Glenda. Wonderful to have had you all here on the live. Hope you have a great rest of your Thursday. And I will see some of you next Tuesday for the Total Trends Toolkit Session 1. So yeah, I'll see you there. Thank you guys for joining me. Talk to you soon. All right. Bye-bye.